Alright guys, and this is going to be the third and last part of finishing up this Anthropocene introductory PowerPoint. Okay, so we left off our last lesson discussing some of the factors that play a role in both the speciation and the extinction rates, and what we've noticed is that we don't have any concrete data as to whether speciation rates have gone up or down, However, we do have extinction rate data, which is telling us that extinction rates have significantly increased by 100 times since the Anthropocene era really started up. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and finish up talking about extinction rates and what we can do before we get into our lab for today. Okay, if my computer will work. All right. And so what we are noticing with extinction rates, okay, it's not just one group of organisms that is being affected. There are species in every group of organisms, so sometimes we will refer to those as taxa. It's just a group of organisms. And there are species in every group that are being faced with either becoming endangered or becoming extinct. And so we notice it's not just mammals, it's not just reptiles, it's not just amphibians, it's all of those different groups of organisms that are being affected by these extinction rates. And so the major reasons behind these extinctions or the increased extinction rate include habitat loss and deforestation. So you're starting to really see the connections here. So deforestation, not only does that not help with our carbon concentration in the atmosphere, it also is going to play a role in what species are able to survive in those areas and which ones are not. Okay. Human and wildlife conflicts. So this one we're going to explore a little bit more today and in the next coming days. So human and wildlife conflicts are where we have humans and wildlife attempting to coincide or attempting to live in the same area, but for whatever reason they are unable to do so. So a lot of times it's going to be your larger animals that we're going to have more trouble with. The one that we're going to particularly look at today, we're going to be looking at the human-wildlife conflict between the native villages in Africa and the cheetahs and lions as well. Okay, so we're actually going to collect data and actually provide some support for this project called Project Waha. Other factors behind extinction rate, obviously climate change, which connects right back into our increased carbon levels of the atmosphere. So you're really getting a feel for how all of this, it's not just one separate topic. There's no one simple fix to this. It is a multitude of problems that all go hand in hand. With the increase of human population, okay, there's going to be an increase of waste, there's going to be an increase of pollution, which ties right back into having trouble with habitats, climate change, and things of that nature. And then the other couple major reasons here, so loss of food and survival needs, okay, and that can be related because of humans hunting their food, or maybe their food were the ones affected by deforestation, and when that organism started to die off, then other organisms were affected by it. Think of like your food chain and your food webs. And then hunting and poaching, especially in our larger organisms, we see play a major role in the endangered or the extinct level of these particular organisms. All right, now a lot of times I have students who say like, well, here I am in Ohio, how am I going to help things all the way across the world? Okay. And what can I do? Especially when I'm in quarantine, what can I do? So there's a couple different ways that you personally can help, okay? And sometimes they seem like they're kind of little, but the thing is, one person is not going to make all of the changes that we need to do to fix the whole world, okay? Everyone needs to do a little change to actually make a huge difference. So one of the things that you can do is to educate yourself and educate others. That can include your friends and your peers and your social media followers, your family, okay? Educate yourself and others as to some of the problems that are actually going on in our environment. We'll explore some of these problems in your projects that we're going to be doing later this chapter. Okay? We'll find that education is actually one of the best tools we have when creating change to better our natural world. Another thing that you and your family can do is to purchase responsibly. And so we mentioned that consumerism has grown quite a bit since the Industrial Revolution. Great for economy, sometimes not so great for our natural world. And so a lot of times things that are grown sustainably, meaning that these are products that are grown without harming other organisms, okay, will be labeled as such. So if you see, here's one example right here. If you see this right here on something, it means that this was raised in a way that it did not harm the rainforest. They didn't have to do any deforestation, they didn't have to use any nasty chemicals or anything else on these particular products. So one thing that you can keep an eye out for, go away camera thing. Oh, okay, sorry, it's just going to be obnoxious. So one thing that you can keep an eye out for are these labels. Okay, see if something was raised sustainably. See if something was actually grown the way it should have been grown. So here's just one example. You'll be able to see this in a variety of products. So if you're having to choose between one that has this label or a label like it and one that does not, okay, you can always choose that one that does, because oftentimes there's not much of a difference in price or quality. Sometimes these are even the better quality ones. Another thing, recycle and compost to reduce the amount of trash that you make. So most of you have seen the plastic waste receptacles that have shown up around the school this year. So that was my Gap Kids and my little project to help make Crestview a little more environmentally friendly. I will put a picture up. I should have put one up here on this slide, but I will put a picture up of the amount of water bottles that came out of your lockers. It was astounding. But all of those got recycled. We basically filled those 4 large trash cans, and then we had 7 other large garbage bags of just plastic bottles. Okay? So just making a simple action as to throwing your water bottle away in the recycling bin as opposed to throwing it away in the trash. Okay? Just those little things, which to you might not be much, but when you put it in a grand scheme of things, it makes a big difference. Okay? So just reducing the amount of plastic you use, reducing the amount of trash you make, can play a large role in our environment too. Like I said, one person is not going to fix the planet, but if you make a change and I make a change and everyone else makes a little bit of a change, that's when we start seeing results. Kind of going along with recycling, so if you have a chance to use a reusable container, whether it be like a reusable water bottle or reusable coffee cup, anything else, so instead of using like styrofoam to put your food in, maybe put it in like a Pyrex glass container or a Rubbermaid container that you're going to use over and over and over again. Okay, or Tupperware container, maybe I should say that instead. A lot of our local parks, especially in the summertime, when you might be looking to get out, but of course stay your 6 feet away, you can volunteer in local areas to pick up trash, remove invasive plant species, and even plant native plant species as well. You don't have to be a part of this group to go pick up trash. You can literally just go pick up trash on one of your walks. Probably be good for you to get out anyway. Okay. And then if you or your family do have the means to do so, there are plenty of organizations out there. There's several organizations through like zoos, there's the World Wildlife Fund. If you are wanting to donate money towards these organizations, of course, and if you have the means to do so, it's a great cause. Okay, you can actually help a species at risk. And the last thing that we're actually going to participate here in next is going to be our online citizen science data collection. Okay, and we'll explain this a little more too, but what this is, so as of now, there is a big human to wildlife conflict going on with Africa. And we're going to be particularly looking at the cheetah and the lion species. So what is happening is that there is this conflict because cheetahs are coming close to and killing off the livestock of the native people, and the native people in retaliation are killing off the cheetahs and the lions. Now, cheetahs and lions are both on the threatened list. Okay, very close to becoming endangered. Their numbers are very low. We've talked about some of the major issues with small population numbers when we talked about the bottleneck effect. Okay, and so this lesson is going to focus on reducing that conflict. And what it is going to be a bunch of pictures from trail cameras in Africa. Okay, and with these trail cameras, they are trying to identify the areas that have the larger carnivores, focusing on usually the big cats like your cheetahs and your lions. Okay. So our lab that is coming up here, we're actually going to be looking at and identifying animals in the pictures, which I will show you through another screencast-o-matic. And the people in Africa will actually use your answers and your identification to make the villagers aware of what areas to avoid when building and when farming. It's actually a pretty cool project. I'm looking forward to kind of sharing that with you guys and seeing some of the pictures that we find and some of the animals that we find through there. Okay, I hope you're all doing well. I will talk to you next time.